Hey, welcome back everybody. So, you've installed a new sink, right? And you need some strainer baskets. Or you got a leaky sink and you've diagnosed that it is in fact the strainer basket that's leaking and now you need to put some new strainer baskets in. That's what we're going to do on this video. I'm going to take you step by step through the entire process of how to put a new strainer basket in a kitchen sink. And once we're done installing those strainer baskets, I'll talk to you about my pricing and what my handyman business charges to do this kind of job. And I'll also show you my kit. For those of you who don't know, I build kits for different types of jobs. That way, instead of running back and forth to the van or the truck, instead of digging through everything everywhere, trying to find each individual tool and each individual part or piece of hardware, I have one kit for each type of job, so I can bring that one kit in, do the entire job, including inventory, with that one kit, and then close it up and get on out of there to the next job. This makes you more efficient and increases your handyman business's profitability. The only disclaimer I've got on this video is if you're putting in your own strainer basket, read the instructions. If they differ from my instructions, you're going to have to be an adult and decide whose instructions you want to follow. But let's not blame the YouTube handyman for not giving you perfect instructions. I'm just simply showing you how I perform this job with my handyman business on a daily basis. Now, one thing I did do that I think is going to make this a really great video for you to make it a little easier to see how we do things is I have built this hinged top so I can take you underneath and actually show you how I accomplish this job. But clearly the first thing you're going to have to do is remove the old strainer basket. So first step is going to be to actually look at the strainer basket. Luckily, like I told y'all, I have hinged this cabinet so I don't have to crawl up under there and you don't have to watch me underneath there without a real clear view of exactly what the angles are. This should enable you to see the angles much better. So there's the basket we're taking out. Of course, your basket that you're working on, if you're removing an old one, is not going to be nearly as new and pretty as this one is. And it's honestly going to be much more difficult than this one. Oftentimes, you end up having to cut these off. It can take 4 times longer to remove this than it's going to take you to install the new one. I want to show you guys something real quick before we do this because it's not going to be intuitive to you. If you're using this particular tool, you're going to be tempted to get this hook on one of the little knobs there and then open it up as wide as you can and come all the way around. And that will work, believe it or not. However, that's not how this is intended to be done. The first thing you're going to do is get this hook on right there, but instead of opening them jaws up real wide and going all the way around, you're only going to go 2 knobs in. So you could open up further and come out here, but you're not going to reach this little knob here. You want to keep it just right there. And then I'll go ahead and get my strainer basket holder here in place. And I'm just going to hold this so that the basket itself doesn't turn. And then I can turn that nut all the way loose. And of course, this being a brand new one, it's not old and messed up. It's going to be super easy for me to just turn it with my hands, but you should expect to have to fight this quite a bit. That's just the nature of the beast. That's what you've signed up for. You'll get it off, don't worry. Sometimes it will take some time. Sometimes you'll be cursing, but you'll get it off. So we've got the retaining nut off. Let's go ahead and close this down, and I'll show you from the top this time. All right, so we're dropping this down. We're coming back up to the top. We'll get our old strainer basket out now that we got the nut off. And of course, this is a new strainer basket that I just pretended was old. So now it's the new strainer basket going back in. Before we put it back in, we're going to take whatever our little EDC daily carry knife is, whatever we have, and we're just going to clean off any old silicone, old plumber's putty, or anything else that's stuck to the sink on the top or the bottom where this is going to actually mount. So we're going to get that nice and cleaned off. And once we get that cleaned off, we're going to break out our plumber's putty or our silicone, one or the other. And I'll tell you, I don't think anybody was really using silicone for this quite a while back, like when I was a young man. But I see a lot of them using silicone on it now, and I have seen it in the instructions for a lot of these strainer baskets as well. So apparently silicone is a thing. However, I really like my plumber's putty. I've been using my plumber's putty forever, so I'm going to keep on doing that. You guys can read the instructions on yours, like I was saying before, and you can work it however you feel like working it. But what you're going to do is you're going to take your strainer basket, or you can go to the sink. Either way, I like to just put it on the strainer basket, and you're going to put yourself a nice little rope You're just going to draw it out as you go, a nice little rope of plumber's putty. Now, I have seen some guys say that you need to roll it out on the countertop and make a nice, pretty little evenly sized rope out of it. Honestly, I don't think that's necessary. If you want to do that, you can. But you get the bottom side of this all the way around the perimeter with some plumber's putty on it. Go ahead and drop it back into your basin. Get it pushed in a little bit. It's going to help hold it in place. And then we're just going to come around and we're going to do the exact opposite of what we just did. So instead of taking the nut off, we're going to be putting a new nut on. And I do want to show you something here. Now you're going to have this rubber washer, neoprene, I think. Actually, this one is rubber. Some of them are neoprene. And you're also going to have this little paper gasket here. And I used to make the mistake, because I didn't take the time to watch any YouTube videos, I used to make the mistake of thinking that this paper gasket was trash. And I would just toss it out. I didn't watch YouTube videos, and I didn't read any instructions. Then I finally figured out eventually how stupid I was, because this paper serves a very important purpose. When these two go on here, this paper is very easy for this nut to slide across. And if the paper is not there for the nut to slide across, then as you tighten this down, this nut starts grabbing your rubber or neoprene gasket. It starts grabbing that gasket and just twisting it. So leave that paper on there. That is not trash. That is there for a reason. Let's go ahead and prop this up again, and we'll grab our install tools. This time I'll use this one, but we're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to go ahead and get ourselves hooked right there. Stick our tool in so we can hold the basket in place, and just tighten that down. And then I think I'm going to do better on this side since I'm right-handed. There we go. Now you may notice I don't seem like an expert at this, and the reason it seems like that is because I am definitely not an expert at this. I am a handyman, and I am good enough at just about anything and everything that you need me to be good enough at, but I am not an expert at pretty much anything. And that's okay. Check over here. All right, I think we're looking pretty good. So up in the top, you're just going to scoop around, and what you should be left with is a brand new strainer basket, perfectly installed with just a little bit of either silicone or plumber's putty coming up around the edge. And that can be very easily cleaned off, if it's plumber's putty anyways, with a rag. Now, if it's silicone, that may or may not take some chemicals depending on how long you wait. Now, one caveat real quick, I'm looking at my basket down here, and I notice that it's off-center by about a 1/16 of an inch. So if I move it a 1/16 of an inch over, it's going to look a lot better. I'm not going to mess with that here on my actual set here, because it's still going to work, and most people wouldn't notice, but it is better to do a better job. So do pay attention when you're tightening these down, and see if you can't get them nice and centered before you cement them in place fully. Now, I told y'all I was going to talk about my pricing on this. So if this was a one-off job, if I was called to a property just to work on a strainer basket, chances are the work order would just say that there was a leaky sink. I show up, I find that the strainer basket is leaking, and I swap the strainer basket out for a new one. In almost every single scenario, that's going to be $125. And the reason that's going to be $125 is because it's going to take me easily far less than an hour to knock this job out. I'm going to have my kit, which I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to have my kit. I'm going to have all my tools. I'm going to have all my materials. There will not be any trips to the hardware store. I can show up to the house, bring my kit in, and I can knock this job out, even with weird plumbing and stuff underneath, even if the strainer basket is all rusty. This is probably, at worst, a 30-minute job. And like I said, that's even if it's all rusty and I have to get out my grinder or my multi-tool and cut the old basket off and get everything hooked back up. So $125. Now, if I was adding this to an existing work order, so say I was at a move-out, and I had already charged a $125 move-out trip fee, standalone trip fee that does not include any maintenance, and now I'm adding this task to that larger work order. Because I know this is 30 minutes or less, I also know that I only need to charge $50 for this in order to be making a minimum of $100 an hour. However, for plumbing, I like to make more than $100 an hour, something more like $150 or more sounds much better to me. So with this being a plumbing job, I might charge $75, I might charge $85, maybe up to 100, probably not over 100, but anywhere from, let's say, $50 to $85 would be a fair price for this to be added to an existing large work order. So the next thing I want to do is actually show you my kit that I bring into these jobs. And to be fair, the kit that I'm showing you is not the kit that I've been bringing into jobs. I revamped my kit, as I'm doing for most of my videos lately. But I have revamped this kit, and what I'm showing you today is my revamped, upgraded, updated super kit. Some of the tools are still out because I've just got done using them, so I'll put them back real quick. Alright, so here's the kit. I'm going to go ahead and start at the top. What we have here, these clamps right here are for dishwasher lines, if you can see this nice and clear against that background. This is for dishwasher lines. One of the problems you'll have is that tenants will say that water is pooling in the bottom of their dishwasher, and what's happening is that water is actually pooling up into the sink, and as it's trying to drain down through the garbage disposal, it's going out of the dishwasher drain line all the way down to the dishwasher. So what you want to do is pick that dishwasher drain line all the way up to the top and pin it in place with one of these clamps, and then the water can't go uphill to then make it downhill. Next, we have just a few aerators. We also have multiple assorted bins of just random packings, O-rings, conical packings, flat washers, more O-rings. Got a little random assortment here of some band clamps, as well as some caps to go on the sink when you remove a sprayer attachment. And I also have in here a little bit of faucet grease. And now you may not see this called faucet grease. This is just a food grade lubricant so that you can use lubricants on your O-rings and stuff when you're installing these on potable water systems, and it's not going to harm the potable water within the home. I've got a few more of those caps with just different attachment styles. I also have this stem repair kit. Now, I don't know if these work. I've never used one before, but I saw them when I was building this kit. I thought they looked really interesting. These are for the multi-turn valves, the ones that are old, that never seem to work, that always break. So if I can repair some of these instead of replacing them, that will be ideal. Next is going to be, this is all attachment hardware for the sink basin itself. For your basic stainless steel sink basins, this is attachment hardware, just spare hardware for that. I've also got some new handles to go on the multi-turn valves. I've also got some other brand new caps. I just have a bunch of these caps. They're one of those things I've picked up quite a few times and then lost or tossed into another bin, and then I just pick more up. Got my channel locks. Got my tool that you just saw me use for removing and installing the nut. Got a crescent wrench. Standard pair of pliers. Nice Allen wrench set. This is pipe thread sealant. You might also hear it called pipe dope. This is just going to help keep the threads sealed on your threaded pipes. Little bit of kitchen and bath premium adhesive sealant. So this is for areas with water, and this is white. Do pay attention. You will find these where they say clear. The tube is white, the cap is white, everything seems to be white. Even when you push the caulk out of the tube, it comes out white, but this will say clear, and it will dry clear even though it comes out white. So watch what that says. A little bit of Teflon tape, and guys, do me a favor, don't use this unless you know you need to be using it. Everybody seems to think that every thread is supposed to have Teflon tape on it, and that is not the case. Down here in the bottom, we have a sprayer, and underneath that sprayer, we have some zip ties. The zip ties are mostly going to be for tying up lines underneath the sink to keep that nice and clean. We've got another sprayer. That one's a brushed nickel. This one is a chrome. Also shoved up in here is the plumber's putty that we just used for that strainer basket. And then here we have, this is one of our strainer basket tools. And this is our other one. This is a multi-tool. This is mostly just for strainer baskets. This is the multi-tool. This has a whole lot of different uses, guys. I do recommend, if you can get one of these, you don't need one of these. I have them both because I'm doing videos, and I want you to see them both. Over here, we just have some rags. You always need some rags. Pretty much throw rags in every kit. Throw rags in your EDC bag. Throw rags in the passenger seat. Just throw rags and trash bags everywhere you go, because you're always going to need them. And then I've got some nitrile gloves just so I can keep my hands clean depending on what I'm working on. And then up top here, what you're not going to see up top is the new strainer basket. Typically, I would have one right here as part of my inventory, but you're not going to see one right here because I just put it in the sink. And then you're also going to keep on hand, this is a new mount for an InSinkErator garbage disposal, which also happens to work for most garbage disposal brands, not just InSinkErator. But this is a brand new InSinkErator garbage disposal mount that I keep on hand just in case I need to replace one of those. Sometimes they actually do get old and rusty, and the little ring will snap off and you'll need a new one. So this is my kit. Oh yeah, by the way, down here, I guess I'll show you this too. We do have some new supply lines, and what else is important, and these should be actually inside the supply line kit. What else is important is I have these adapters, and these adapters are going to adapt for my supply lines. All supply lines, honestly, should be 3/8 inch on one end, and the 3/8 should go to your valve down underneath, your shutoff valve, and then your 1/2 inch up top goes to your fixture. These adapters are for when we have other sizes on our shutoff valves other than 3/8. So both of these will adapt some other size to 3/8 so that we can then use these exact same hoses every single time, and we don't have to keep every single combination of hose end sizes together in this one kit. So that's the entire kit right there. And like I said, the idea is that I can take this kit onto every single job that I do. If it's for a sink, then that's all that matters. If it's for a sink, I should be able to take this kit in, and I should be able to solve the problems for that job on that sink with this one kit. The only exception being the actual shutoff valve at the bottom. I do have a completely separate shutoff valve kit, and if and when we need to that, then we'll go ahead and break that kit out. So at this point, we're all wrapped up with replacing our strainer basket. You've seen all the steps, you've seen the kit, you know what my pricing is. This is a very common and very profitable job for a handyman. I do want to remind you guys that if you'd like to know more about my pricing, I have 2 documents you can download. If you go to the description of this video, scroll all the way to the bottom, you're going to find a link you can click to download my free business documents. Within those free documents, you're going to find 2 that are useful. One is called Jobs List with Pricing. Please mostly ignore the pricing on that list. That was an experiment that had its place and its time. It is not my current accurate pricing, but it is a list that's going to give you a list of all the jobs, and it's going to give you a method to come up with your own pricing for your specific business. The other document you're going to find is my custom line items. It's a CSV file called custom line items. What these are is these are the custom line items that I actually use in my own personal handyman business when I'm doing my invoicing and my estimating. I've downloaded them from Jobber, put them into a file for you. You're able to download my line items onto your computer and then upload them into your Jobber account. If you have Jobber, you can upload my line items into your Jobber account and you can use them on your personal Jobber account, exactly the way that I've written them. However, I don't recommend that you use my pricing and my descriptions. I do recommend that you describe things with your own words and you use your own pricing based on your geography, your clientele, etc. And also, by the way, if you don't have Jobber, you can find a link to get a free 14-day trial in the description of this video as well. That 14-day trial is going to come with an exclusive 20% off for the first 6 months if you use my link. And if you'd like to know how to use Jobber a little bit more, you can come to any of my webinars. There are 0 paywalls on this channel, so these are free webinars. I do them every single weekend, almost without fail, usually on Saturdays, sometimes on Sunday. They're about an hour and a half long, sometimes 2 hours, and I will take you through my entire workflow, all the way from receiving requests, writing estimates, writing up jobs, writing invoices, sending invoices, marking things as paid, bringing team members in, doing people's paychecks and hourly wages. Whatever questions y'all have during these webinars, I will answer, but I'll be showing you my basic admin workflow for each job as it comes in as part of my daily routine with my business. Now, if y'all have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments or email me at bulletproofhandymanbusiness@gmail.com, and I would be happy to answer them. And also, if you go to bulletproofhandyman.com, you will find my masterclass for starting and running your own handyman business, or there's a link in the description also to take you to the Thinkific website, where that masterclass is also hosted, also for free, 0 paywalls. So with all that being said, I love you guys, I hope you're out there killing it, and I'll see you on the next one.